Hi Kix, so we're back with chapter 8, and I will tell you this chapter is a little strange. Chapter 8, Toad's Adventures. Chained up in his dungeon all alone, Toad shed bitter tears and abandoned himself to despair. This is the end of everything, he wept. How can I ever hope to be free again? And for several weeks he refused all the water brought to him by the grim and ancient Gowler. A Gowler is someone who works in a prison, and this is the Gowler. But the Gowler had a daughter, a good-hearted girl, who helped her father sometimes in the prison. She was very fond of animals, and she said to her father one day, "I can't bear to see poor Toad so unhappy and getting so thin. Let me look after him," she pleaded. "Do what you like," said the Gowler. So that very day, the Gowler's daughter went to see Toad, to talk to him and to tempt him with food. At first he would not be comforted, but when she brought him tea and very thick, hot buttered toast, he started eating again. And they had many interesting talks together. She told him that she had an elderly aunt who was the washerwoman at the prison. She suggested that, if Toad gave this lady a little money, she might be willing to let him have one of her dresses and an old bonnet so that he could escape from the castle. And so, next morning, the girl brought her aunt to Toad's cell. Shaking with laughter, the Gowler's daughter helped Toad to dress up in the cotton print gown, arranged the shawl, and tied on the washerwoman's bonnet, all of which her aunt had brought in her bundle of washing. Then the pair of them tied the old lady up to make it look as though the daring Toad had overpowered her to steal the clothes. With a quaking heart but firm footstep, Toad made his way through the castle. The warders and the soldiers joked as they saw the stout little figure in familiar clothes go walking by. Who do they think it is? Every door and every gate was open for him. Even so, it seemed hours before he crossed the last courtyard, and then he was walking across the drawbridge, free. Dizzy with the success of his daring exploit, Toad made his way to the railway station. He went to the booking office to buy a ticket and found to his horror that he had left all his money and belongings behind in the prison. Isn't it interesting that he was chained in a cell in a castle prison, in a dungeon, and they let him keep all his money and things? There's a lot of strange things about this story, don't you think? He pleaded with the booking clerk, that's a person making the arrangements, but he was pushed out of the way. In despair again, he wandered down the platform to where the train was waiting. He told the engine driver all his troubles. Luckily, the engine driver was a very kind man. He told the poor washerwoman, aka Frog, that if she washed a few shirts for him, she could have a lift in his cab. Toad was very thrilled as the train sped along, but after a while the engine driver said they were being followed by another engine. "And it's crowded with warders and policemen," he exclaimed. So he slowed down enough for Toad to jump off as they passed through a thick wood. He rolled down an embankment and scrambled into the wood. He watched his train get up speed again and disappear. Then the pursuing engine roared past, everybody shouting, "Stop! Stop!" Toad had a hearty laugh for the first time since he was thrown in prison. So a lot of interesting mixes here, right? You have a frog dressed as a human washerwoman, and it's about the size of a human, right? And then you have police officers in modern-ish dress, clothing, uniform. And then you have these strange sentries or guards from the castle dungeon dressed as if in medieval times, holding axes and spears on a train. A lot of mixing of time periods. Oh, and that was the end of that chapter. Chapter 8. What do you think's going to happen next?